was a pretty long call. We talked about a lot of things, including Iran. And we also talked about, as you know, the war with Ukraine. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. No, I didn't make any progress with him today at all.
President Trump says there were no signs of progress during his recent call yesterday with Vladimir Putin, and the push for peace may soon get even tougher as Russia prepares new offensives against Ukraine. Let's bring in Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor. She's also the Vice President of National Security for the Heritage Foundation. Great to see you, as always. Let's start with President Trump's phone call. It was a bit disturbing. I think a lot of people were hopeful that when the president took office that he would be able to get through to Vladimir Putin, given their past relationship in his last administration. That phone call came just 2 days after the U.S. said that it would halt some U.S. missile and ammunition shipments to Ukraine. Let's listen to Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell, and then I'll have you react.
The Department of Defense continues to provide the president with robust options regarding military aid to Ukraine. We will not be providing any updates to specific quantities or types of munitions being provided to Ukraine or the timelines associated with these transfers. But the secretary will continue to make recommendations to the president for his decision on military assistance to Ukraine going forward.
Do you think withholding munitions was a tactic by Trump to try to get Putin to engage in peace talks?
Well, happy Independence Day, Julie. I think actually this is part of a broader review that Undersecretary Bridge Colby has initiated to take an inventory, quite frankly, of what has been expended over the more than 3 years now of the Ukraine war, especially given what we're also putting out in the Middle East, in the defense of Israel, in those incredible attacks on the Iranian nuclear program 2 weeks ago, that we need to make sure we have plenty here at home. And that's why some of the defense provisions in the big, beautiful bill that was passed yesterday are so important. And that's the president investing in that capability that we need. But what we have to do is make sure the American people are safe, and then we can help partners and allies.
On the phone call, Putin signaled he had no intention of heeding the U.S. president's calls to end the war. Former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster believes that Putin's attempt to play Trump will fail. Watch this.
By the way, Putin has, really disrespected President Trump the whole time, and thinks he can play him. I don't think he can play Donald Trump. You saw what happened, with the Iranians. He gave him 60 days, right? And they went to 61. And he acted. I think President Trump is going to come to the conclusion it's time to put more pressure on Putin, and that includes sustaining support for the Ukrainians.
Okay, so that's interesting. So, I mean, the president obviously is going to support Ukraine, even though they've had some interesting conversations, some awkward tense moments in the White House between the two countries. But what is it going to take to end this bloody war, since Ukraine has made it clear it is not backing down? Putin has no plans of backing down. Clearly, that phone call got them nowhere. So then what's the next step?
Well, I think I agree with General McMaster that the president's decisive action against Iran should get Putin's attention. But he can't want peace more than Putin does. And so he's demonstrated the ability to get to deals with India and Pakistan, with Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So he is talking to both sides. The offer for mediation is there. But the strongest signal, Julie, is what happened at The Hague, at the NATO summit recently, in which he persuaded our major NATO allies to all go to 5% of their GDP on defense, combined with the investment we made yesterday. That shows Putin NATO is as strong as ever, stronger than ever, quite in fact, because of President Trump's work, and that he has to be very, very cautious about potential additional aggression against a NATO ally.
Right. But then how does he continue to provide weapons to Ukraine after just having announced that they are going to be sort of withdrawing some of that? And how critical is it for the U.S. involvement for Ukraine to continue this fight? Because the bombings continue by Russia. They're bombed left and right, and they need the United States to back them up in order for them to be able to afford this war.
Well, I think we will continue, the president said yesterday, to support Ukraine. He's I think, talking to President Zelensky again later today or tomorrow. So that we'll have that communication as well. And I'm sure Congress will want to act judiciously to support Ukraine also. But this is where we're going to need our European allies to step up and do more, because our stockpiles are being depleted. And as I said, we have obligations in other parts of the world besides Europe. So this is a war in Europe, and I think the Europeans have made some good pledges. And if they start following through on them, they can take the lead on the defense of Ukraine.
Yeah, I think a lot of Americans would agree with you there that European nations need to step up. Why does the United States have to provide and fund a war, another war? Hopefully will come to an end. But I mean, 3 years is insane that this has been going on way too long. Victoria Coates, thank you very much for taking the time, and happy 4th to you.